Incredibles 2. Throughout the years in Pixar's history, there has never been a sequel that's more demanded than for The Incredibles, the original superhero film that's been acclaimed to be not only one of Pixar's best, but also among the greatest animated features of all time. You think Kingdom Hearts fans had to wait forever to get their third installment? Well, let me tell ya, the entire world had to wait around 14 years to see the anticipated battle of the Incredibles versus the Underminer. And no, that video game doesn't count. But oddly enough, even when it has been highly demanded for many years, Pixar always turns the other way to make a follow-up of their other properties, rather if people wanted it or not. I mean, sure, Toy Story 3 was beautiful, but some of the others felt unnecessary and subpar, like the Cars sequels and Monsters University. And let's be honest, as great as Finding Dory is, did anybody really ask for a Finding Nemo sequel before? But now the time has come that we are about to experience the most anticipated animated sequel of all time. Will it still be as incredibly strong as the first one? Or did the Supers return with some wardrobe malfunctions? Let's find out! The story. It's time to switch roles for the story. Instead of Mr. Incredible doing the hero work, it's Elastigirl's time to take on the action, while Bob stays home and takes care of the kids. What makes the first Incredible so fresh and memorable is how it perfectly blends superhero action and heartwarming family values. This mix was also greatly achieved in here, where the movie holds several plot points and blends them together so that they can stay consistent and connected with each family member. Elastigirl's story is what holds most of the big action, as she tries to uncover who is the mysterious new threat that's hypnotizing everyone in the city, known as Screenslaver. Meanwhile, Bob's side of the movie is a lot more character-driven that delivers most of the humor and the heart, where he tries to manage his kids while facing new problems like Violet's teenage temper, Dash's math homework, and Jack-Jack's newfound powers.
You're not...
Okay.
Oh my God!
Okay.
Wow, okay. Okay. So, he can still hear you
From the other dimension, yeah.
In a way, it's admirable how the film knows how to take all these characters and expand not just them, but also the world they're set in with the new people, where superheroes are still considered illegal, but telecommunications tycoon Winston Dever is pursuing to change that by putting supers back in a positive light again. However, while the execution of the story is an absolute blessing, there is also a bit of a curse beneath it. The biggest criticism for the film would be that, while it's fun to see the role reversal, it does copy a lot of elements from the first film. Like, you got one parent that's off to do superhero work in order to support the family, while the other is raising the kids with their powers while visiting Edna Mode. Does that sound familiar? In a way, it shares a similar issue with another Pixar sequel, Finding Dory. While greatly told, it has a flaw where the story is constructed a little too similarly to its predecessor, leaving little room for surprises. But even if it does follow the same steps as it did before, the story still succeeds in keeping it engaging and a lot of fun. The animation. While the first was praised for its stunning visuals at the time, it is starting to show its age after 14 years. The sequel, however, is upgrading the technology to dazzle us like when we first saw it back in 2004. I'll start things off by mentioning the stuff that looks a lot better than it did the first time, and that's with the details. The textures got a sharper polish to give it that clean look, including the character's skin, their hair, the fabric, the materials around them, and some of the effects like Frozone's ice, the explosions, and the rubble left from something destroyed. But while it made itself look new, the production design and the design of the characters still stayed true to what was achieved before to keep that Incredibles look. Everything is built and inspired to look like the modern style of the 1950s and 1960s, where the lines are more diagonal, a strong emphasis on a more round shape, and a mix of using a bit of bright colors with plain ones like gray, wood, white, and black. As for the character animation, the movements stay a little more realistic and smooth, but when using their powers, they stay in a fast pace, sometimes literally in Dash's case. But one of the big reasons why people would want to see Incredibles 2 is because of the action, and thanks to the animation, it delivers amazingly. Whenever there is a moment where the family has to fight crime or save the city, the movie always keeps the intensity high and lets the Pixar animators be at their most creative with the superpowers. One of the biggest highlights of the film is the way it used Elastigirl at her fullest potential with her stretching abilities in order to save the day. On top of that, it also includes a new cast of supers to present some unique abilities and even have their effects stay within the aesthetics of the movie's modern style. While The Incredibles are back, it's the animation that's better than ever. The characters. The whole point of the movie is to see our favorite family of supers back on the big screen, and luckily, they have returned with some new powers to strengthen the feature. Let's begin with the film's action star, Helen. While her role is mostly copying what Mr. Incredible did in the first film, she looks out for her family while she gets back that thrill of being a super. But while she's working, she stays focused on trying to take down the new villain of the movie, Screenslaver, a hacker that has the ability to hypnotize and brainwash whoever is watching the screen they control. The antagonist is interesting and could show a lot of potential at first, but as the movie would progress and the audience learns more about who this person is, the suspense ends up feeling underwhelming. I'll just say now that Screenslaver is most likely who you think it is, and we can probably agree that Syndrome is a lot better. Moving to the family side, Bob still has that eager superhero side that wants to burst out and fight crime, but has to stay home in order to prove to his wife that he can be as strong as a parent as much as his powers. While he does have the motivation and the love to keep him going, he obviously needs the help from his old friends that are still their lovable selves, like Lucius, aka Frozone, Edna Mode, and Rick Dicker. By the way, for the latter, while Jonathan Banks does give a good performance, he's definitely no but lucky, may he rest in peace. As for the kids, while Jack plays around with his new abilities and Dash still holds his quick, eccentric charm, Violet shows off the most character development, as she deals with her anger over how Bob is partly responsible for messing up her one big moment to be with her crush.
Hey, honey, how are the kids?
Everything's great.
Is she having adolescence?
As for the new characters, the most prominent ones are the Dever siblings. Windsor is mostly Bob Odenkirk being Bob Odenkirk, but is still very well written as a businessman who wants to have supers be viewed as the heroes they once were with the help of her inventor sister, Evelyn. As for the new supers, they're mostly there to present a new variety of abilities, while Void stands out as the Elastigirl fangirl. While some characters can be a little iffy, the family is still strong enough to support an entire movie and present some memorable powers. That was totally wicked! Incredibles 2 is a great successor to one of Pixar's best films that still holds the same amount of unforgettable action and heart. Sure, it may not be as spectacular as the first movie with a plot structure too similar to its predecessor and a downgraded villain, but it more than makes up for it with a highly engaging story, amazing animation, intense action scenes, and the return of some great and lovable characters. This is definitely a film that fits in the category of a must-watch, especially for any superhero fans, Pixar fans, and yes, even Incredibles fans. Oh, and before I continue, I just want to make a quick mention about the animated short that came before it, Bao. Admittedly, it can be hard to take the short seriously when you're watching a living dumpling growing up and having some family drama. It is still a very heartwarming piece that I'm sure a lot of mothers will adore. After 14 years, I'm so glad to say that the wait was worth it. And it is a movie that I'm proud to give it the AniMat's seal of approval.
That is freaky.